Alright, welcome back to How to Build a Social Network with Codeigniter. I'm Rod Nelson with Northwoods Web Design. What we're going to do today is we're going to build the website template. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is change our routes.php file. We're going to go into the config folder. We're going to open that up. You need to go down here to routes.php. I already have it opened up here. No, there's a bunch of other stuff in here that we don't really need. You can remove that if you want. I leave it there. Right here where it says default controller, your default controller should look like this right here. Now what we need to do is we need to change the default controller to user. Once we have that done, then it will use the user.php controller. Right now it's pointed towards the welcome controller. But once we got that done, then we can move on to the next step. Okay, we need to edit the autoload.php here. What we need to do is we need to go down to helpers. See right here we got autoload helpers. We need to add the URL helper. What I'll do is I'll explain this as we go, but we're going to be using a couple of helpers that allow the URL to make everything easier. So once we get this done, it'll make a little bit more sense. So for now, we're just going to put in the URL. We will be coming back to this, adding, as you can see up here, we're going to be adding libraries like database and session, and there's some other ones that we're going to be adding as we go. Alright, we need to create the user.php controller. What we need to do is we need to go into our controllers directory. You can see I already got it created here. Now what we need to do, this is for people who've never worked with Codeigniter, I'm going to explain this. You need to open up your PHP. Okay, then we need to use class, user, and the first letter needs to be capitalized. Extends CI controller exactly as you see it there. Okay. Now we're going to go into the function. I'm going to explain the function here. What we're doing. Okay. What we're doing is we're just using a simple set of arrays here. What we're doing is we're using data. We're setting the title to home page. Now normally we'd have our description in here where it says description and our keyword. Now this is the important one. Okay, our main content, what we need to do with that is that's pointing us towards our file in the views directory. If you look right here, here's the views directory. In there will be a directory called, we're going to create a directory called user, and then we're going to make an index.php file. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we do this, and we load the view. Okay, and then we need to tell it what view we're loading. Well, we're going to load the template view inside the includes directory, and we're going to pass all this data that in this array up here that we have with it. So once that is done, we're ready to move on to creating our template inside the includes directory. Alright, now we're ready to make our template. So what we need to do is we're going to go into the views directory, and inside that we're going to make an includes directory. Inside the includes, we're going to create template.php. Now this here is our template.php here. We got our doc type set, we got our HTML and our language set. Now here we got our style sheet, which we're going to create here in a little bit. What this base URL is part of the URL helper. What this does is allows us to use the base URL instead of typing in the whole long website. It puts it in there for you, and it also puts the trailing slash so you just need to type in then your directory for your CS. Now remember, this is not inside the application directory. This is inside the main directory. So if it's inside applications, you'd have to have application/CSS. I like mine out in the root directory. because this base URL is going to give you your root directory. Alright, next, under description, so we got a meta tags description, and we have our description here, which if you remember up in user.php we added description and the keyword in there. We can change those to anything we want inside the controller. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to our title. You see we got title right here. What that's going to do is let us put our title in every time. So I'm sure you're seeing this is making this a lot easier. We don't have to rewrite this page every single time we come in. So this is going to make it a lot easier, and it's going to take up a lot less code. What we're going to do here is inside the body, we're going to open up the container div. As you see, the container is right here. Control is all this stuff here. Now inside that we're going to put our nav div, and we're going to have a content div. Now if you remember from what I explained up in the user controller, we're using the PHP to do this load view. What this is going to do is it's going to load the nav bar, and then when we get down here, this is going to load the main content, which the main content is our index.php that we're sending through. So this is really simple. We're going to need a little bit of CSS to get this to look right, but for now that's all it's going to take to finish the template. We will be changing this later on. We'll come back and we'll be adding some things to it, and we may be adding a left and right bar, and we may even add a footer if we decide to. But for right now, this is good enough for what we need. Alright, so now we need to make our navigation.php, which I named nav. Okay, so it's over here in the includes directory, right above the template. So we just need to create that file. Now this one is real super simple. All you need to do is you open up an unordered list, and then inside that we use the list command, which is the li. And then we go in here and we echo anchor. Now anchor is another one of the URL helpers. So what we need to do then with that is set the name of the file where it's going, and that's our user index. That's our page that we created up in the user.php. And what we need to do is put the text in that it's going to be for that. So I'm just putting home for right now. Later on we may put a graphic in there or something else, and then you just close it, and that's pretty much it for right now. We'll come back, we'll be adding to this file, we'll have lots more to put in here. So but for right now, this is all we need. Okay, now all we need to do is create our index.php. What we did is we have the user directory inside the views, and we created an index.php here. Right now, all I've got is our page content will go here. It's just so I can see what it looks like on the screen. I ain't real worried about it. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the CSS file. So as you see, the CSS file is in the root directory. There's this directory here called CSS. Inside there is main CSS. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and kind of explain some of this as we go. I'm just using black and white for my colors. When I do do the production website, I will be using different colors, but for doing the demo, I'm just going to use black and white. Okay, so anyway, we got our background color, which is the background color of our website. That can also be an image if you want, but right now I'm just setting it that way. You can do whatever you want. Okay, now the container, if you remember the container, we use that inside the template. That's our box, which our menu, our nav, and our main content are inside of. And I set the width to 1000, set the background to white, and the text to black. Now, content's real simple, same thing. White background content is black. The text is, yes. Okay, now this is where we get into a little bit. This is I've made drop-down menus for a long time with CSS. I really like them. If you've got a better way of doing your nav, feel free. But this is the way I'm going to show it. So we set up our nav tag with the color. We're setting the text to white. I'm putting some padding in there so it doesn't just sit right against the edge of the bar. Our background color is black, so our bar is going to be black and with white text. And obviously we're lining the text centered, and we're setting the height of the bar to 25. We may have to change that, but it works for now. Okay, now if you remember right, when we created our nav.php, we had to use the unordered list. I'm sorry. And what we're doing is we're removing the bullets, and then we're setting the background color of that to black, and the color to white for the text. I don't even remember why I used margin 0. I think that keeps it in the center so it's not sitting right against the bottom, if I remember properly. And then we're just setting our right margin to 6, which we don't really need to do since we have the padding, but I'm kind of redundant sometimes. So okay, now we got the li set to display inline. What this does, this will make it so that our words aren't offset up and down. They'll be right straight across the whole line. I just set the padding to 0. We'll probably actually end up changing that because I don't think we want our words running into each other. I changed the list style again so that it removes the bullet. We're floating it to the left so that home will be over to the left side. It should be about 5 pixels away from the side, or actually 6. The relative position, I believe that just puts it relative to the last one. It's a lot like display inline. I think those may actually be may not be needed, but anyway, like I said, we got the margins at the 6. Okay, now this is for our A tag, or inside the ULLI. So we just set the padding to 0, text line to center. Now we're getting rid of the text decoration. That's the line underneath any link, so you won't see that line underneath there. We're displaying it as a block. That's actually gonna, when we change the colors from black to white, that will give us our a block, and our text colors set to white still right now. Okay, now I'm not sure if I actually need the nav A tag like this, but I'm just not. All we're pretty much doing is just shutting out the text decoration, setting the text to white. The height is 23 pixels. The width we don't really need, but I'm going to leave it there for now. Then we just got some padding. We're aligning the text to the center of the box. We set our font size, and we're setting the weight to bold. Okay, now this is where kind of the, I guess you could say, magic happens. What we're doing here is we're using on the li tag, when we hover, we're changing the margin left to 0. I don't know why I did that. I may not even need it. We're changing the background color to black and the color to white. So it'll change. That'll change the. I'm sorry. We're changing the background to white and the text color to black. So when you scroll over it, you'll see a different color. Okay, and then we just did li hover A, which, for since it's a tag, with changing the text color to white. So that's all we need inside the CSS. As soon as I get this ready to go, I'm going to upload all this to the website, and I'll have a demo demo for you here.